Well, Miss Franklin is here, there's Carl, but so we can start and go. Tonight is a family karaoke night at Red Star for Ugly Sweater. Good. She's here. She'll probably walk in by the time we call her name. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are at our committee of the whole meeting. It is now 6:30. Board of Education meeting. It is now 6:30 p.m. Roll call.
Here. Franklin. Johnson.
Here.
Morton.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement is to educate, empower, and inspire the whole child.
At this time, we would like to go into our closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, collective negotiation, bargaining, and board self-evaluation. Motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, who motion?
Edgecombe.
Edgecombe, and second by
Me.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Edgecombe.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Franklin. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. And Williams.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. At this time, we will be back out at 7:30 p.m. for our open session. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our Board of Education meeting tonight, scheduled for Wednesday, December 20th. At this moment, we're in open session, so I'll talk about our committee of the whole. We will have our next committee of the whole meeting January 10th. Superintendent's report. For the superintendent's report, I'll start with our discipline. So as far as our discipline, effective November 30th, 2023, Colin Powell Middle School had 4 violent, without physical injury suspensions. Out of school suspension, 8 without violence, physical injury. Mari Yates Elementary School has 0 in-school suspensions. 5 out-of-school suspensions, 4 were considered for bullying, and 1 was defiance and insubordination. Neil Armstrong had 0 in-school suspensions and 0 out-of-school suspensions. Cedar Prairie Elementary School had 1 violence in-school suspension without physical injury and 1 violence with physical injury. Out-of-school suspensions, they had 2 out-of-school suspensions. Woodgate Elementary School had 0 in-school suspensions and 0 out-of-school suspensions. Student attendance, Colin Powell Middle School for August was at 89.20%, for September 91.73%, October 91.17%, and for November 91.11%. Mari Yates Elementary School had 91.39%, 92.68% for September, 92.25% for October, and 92.95% for November. Neil Armstrong, 94.89% August, 94.72% for September, 93.21% for October, and 94.36% for November. Cedar Prairie Elementary School, 91.79% for August. September was 92.76%. October declined with 91.18%, and November 91.44%. Woodgate Elementary School, as well as Woodgate Pre-K and Early Childhood, August was 91.93% for elementary and 83.21% for pre-K. September was 91.07% for elementary and 86.77% for pre-K. October, Woodgate Elementary was 90.51% for October and 87.85% for pre-K. And for November, 87.50%. As far as registration with our 2021-2022 school year, our Colin Powell has a total of 567 students. Neil Armstrong has a total of 286 students. Woodgate has a total of 325 students. Mari Yates has a total of 250 students. And Cedar Prairie has a total of 224 students, giving our district a grand total of 1,652. Next on the agenda is our discipline. I'll turn it over to Janisa Owens for our business services and HR presentation, and then we'll come back to the press policy 113 for the first read.
Good evening, Board of Education, family of ESD 159. Tonight I will be as brief as possible. We will go through the fund balance, the HVAC work that's going to be done at Woodgate. There's a thing in your packet for purchase equipment. We'll go through the levy presentation review, and then there's some documents that you have in your board packet for approval, and I just itemized them here. So we have our fund balance dashboards for the month of October of 2023. Beginning fund balance, $83,678.46. Our revenue at the end of October of 2023 was $4,930,288.41. Expenditures, $11,120,38. If we were to close out the year for October of 2023, we would have an ending fund balance of $37,013,846.49. This in comparison to October of 2022, we had a beginning fund balance of $38,776,100.10. Our revenue at that time was $5,500,106.16, where our expenditures were $13,149,611.18. And were we to close the end of the year, October of 2022, our ending fund balance would have been $31,126,595.08. Are there any questions regarding the fund balance comparison? Woodgate Elementary Mechanical Project. We are in the process of preparing to replace our HVAC system at Woodgate. That project is going to go out for bid in January. However, in the meantime, we have some equipment that, without purchasing it through our cooperative, those lead times on getting that equipment could cause the project to be delayed and not being able to be complete. So therefore, those pieces of equipment estimated at $283,529 for certain pieces of equipment that is needed to get this project rolling. And with going through our cooperative, we would only need board approval because that cooperative allow us to not have to go through that bidding process, which will take more time. And so this will help us, as I said, to bypass those long lead times for those different rooftop units that's needed for the Woodgate project. And that's so that we can meet that deadline. Once again, this project is actually going to go out to bid in January for the installation, the ceiling work, and other pieces of equipment that will be along with it. But these specific pieces of equipment are needed now. We need to get those ordered now. And so we're asking for the board to approve us to order through Omnia, our cooperative, the equipment that is listed in, there should be an embedded link in your packet with the actual proposal.
And if we go through the,
Yes.
if we go through the cooperative, are we getting comparable pricing as if we were out to bid? How does that compare?
So when we go through our cooperative, they have already assessed the, not necessarily the lowest, but when you put into it the quality of the different packages, because we look at the service as well as the actual items that's being ordered, these are the lowest prices that they are willing to support and back. And so going through our cooperative sometimes gives us the better edge. Most times they give us the better edge. In our case, not going through our cooperative puts us in a position where we may not have the equipment, and then this HVAC project may have to be a next year and not a summer project. Any other questions regarding the equipment purchase? Once we approve this, they're going to go out and purchase those pieces of equipment that's needed, so that way they're here because the time is already it's already long just to get it even through the co-op. And so going out to bid is going to add another month because they have to go out to bid next month and then present it to you in February, and then those lead times are from that point on.
So we established a budget. Does that keep us within the parameters of that?
So far, it keeps us within our budget. However, one of the things I did budget for was I budgeted about $400,000 for equipment in excess of the actual project cost. So this is within it. So hopefully we don't run into any issues where we're over that amount that has been budgeted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So tonight in your board packet, there is a tax levy resolution. That tax levy resolution is just is giving you the information of the dollars that have been presented and will be presented again for what we are asking for. And it's also making it known that, and you're signing off on the fact that we have not exceeded that 5% threshold in our ask, our levy, and that no truth in taxation hearing is required because we have not exceeded that 5% threshold. This document has to be signed, and it must be filed with the county clerk. It has to be signed by the board, and it has to be filed with the county clerk no later than December 26th. There's also a certificate of inapplicability of truth in taxation, which is in your packet. It does not need to be voted on. However, it does have to be signed by the board president. The tax levy resolution does require approval. The tax abatement resolution for 18604 Ridgeland, that is also in your board packet for approval. This is a part of the incentive contract that the board approved some time ago. This one particularly we're in the 5th year out of 10 years, and we have to make sure that this is approved by the board so that it directs the county on exactly what to do with those taxes. And the same is for the tax abatement resolution for the Tinley Park Hotel. We are in the 6th year out of our 10th year. So we're getting closer to the other side of being completed with this incentive. And once we've done that and the board has approved that, we will have honored the agreement that was signed originally some time ago. And this is what we do to maintain our end of that agreement. Any questions regarding these documents? Presentation of the tax levy. This is the recommended tax levy for 2023 levy year. On November 15th, the estimated levy was presented. Tonight, the adoption of the levy is what is being requested based on the recommendation. Should the board approve, the documents that are signed will be submitted to Cook County and filed no later than December 26th. The factors that were considered in making the decision regarding this levy are issues dealing with the long-term financial conditions of the district. And one of the things, as we have gone through with the facilities assessment, we do have some different projects that we need to take care of. And our HVAC systems is one of them, and we're already on the road. And then we still have 2 schools to take care of. And so that's going to be a part of the long-term. Not doing this would end up costing us a great deal. The impact decision on the quality, the long-term quality of educational services, as well as the impact of the decision on the different conditions as I spoke with the district facilities. And so all of these have been taken into consideration when making the levy decision. Taking a look at our CPI, focusing on the last 2 years in particular. In 2022, December, when we're speaking of this particular document, we're looking at the December of 2022 or the December of any of those years. We were well above, the black shows how far above we were the cap, the 5% threshold. And so in 2022, we were well above it. We were a little bit over 7%. Now for December of 2023, CPI, for levy purposes, we are still well above the 5%. However, we are only able to receive 5% or the rate of inflation, which is our CPI. And so CPI is above the 5% threshold. Therefore, we can only receive 5%. And that is what the levy is asking for this year. Just breaking down our revenues for the 2024 budget that was presented at the beginning of the year, the majority of our revenue is coming from real estate taxes at 63%. And then we have our evidence-based funding dollars, which is at 17%. And that is in part of the board approving different tax abatements for the property tax relief, through the property tax relief grant, which has allowed our evidence-based funding-based dollars to grow. And so now we're at 17% of our dollars are coming from evidence-based funding. And then we also have our federal grants, which is due in part to the ESSER dollars, which is why it's so high. And we have 4% of other local dollars. Other local dollars are still a little bit higher than usual, and that's as a result of our corporate personal property replacement taxes. And those have been higher because CPI has been higher. And then lastly, our state grants at 3% for our total revenue overview. Recommended tax levy for this year. There's some funds I want to explain. There's a funds that you'll see only $5, and that's the reason for that is because we want to make sure that we levy something in those areas, just to make sure that we're never in a position where we can't levy in those funds due to the fact that we haven't levied in them at all for some time. And so the IMRF fund, we're recommending $5. Social Security Fund, $400,000. Liability Insurance Fund, $251,000. Transportation Fund, $1,595,000. Education Fund, $31,864,000. Operation and Maintenance Fund, $2,660,000. Working Cash, $200,000. And Fire Prevention and Safety Fund, $5, for a total levy of $36,970,010. This levy request, as I stated before, is not it does not exceed the 5% threshold. So we are in standing to ask for the 5%. Recommended action for the 2023 tax levy. It is recommended that the board adopt the tax levy, as that tax levy will capture the 5% growth in our district's limiting funds. Maintain the second year abatement, which is the property tax relief grant requires that we abate dollars for 2 years. And so we need to maintain that. And so we need the board to approve those as well. Those were not in your packet tonight, only because it's not time yet, but those are also things that must be done. And then applying for the FY24 property tax relief grant, the board approved it at the last board meeting. That has been applied for, and so when January comes, we'll find out whether we received the property tax relief grant for 2024.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Can you go back one
slide?
Please. When we're looking at the
36,970,000.
Okay, so when we're looking at that, that's the 5%.
That is
But
5%.
if CPI is 1.5%, then we would reduce that by.
We're only going to get the 1.5% of whatever was extended to us last year. So this $36,970,010 is 5% of our prior year, 2022's extension, the amount that the county said, this is the amount of money that you are able to collect from taxpayers.
Okay.
And so if CPI was only 1.5%, we would only be able to receive 1.5% of last year, 2022's dollars that were extended to us from the county.
Which would have been somewhere less than the 36 million.
Yes, it would have been substantially lower than the 36 million.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So on this slide, the last piece that I wanted to note was that the recommendation of approving those property tax relief grants and making sure we abate it would generate a total of $3,430,000 of relief for our taxpayers in the 2023 tax levy year versus the maximum allowable extension. And so that is what is allowable. We'll be able to generate that money of tax relief. Aggregate effect on tax abatement recommendations. Levy year 2018, the district, we abated 318. We received for the abatements 318 In 2019, we abated $1,550,000. 2020 was the second year of that abatement, and we abated the $1,550,000 as well. 2021, $2,411,000. In 2022, $3,300,000. And in 2023, should the board approve, we would have abated $3,430,000, which is a total tax relief of $12,559,000 over this entire period, the 6-year period of the board approving the property tax relief grant. Fund balances. Now, these are our unaudited fund balances for the year ending June 30th, 2023. Education fund, in balance, $30,670,000. Operation and maintenance fund, negative $422,000. Debt service fund, $1,000. Transportation fund, $1,951,000. Municipal retirement and Social Security fund, $4,031,000. Capital projects fund, $718,000. Working cash, $3,344,000. Liability insurance fund, $180,000. Fire prevention and safety fund, $2,614,000, for a total fund balance of the $43,087,000. And this is how the fund balance report that I gave earlier, this is how we got to that amount. This is just the broken down version. If there are no other questions, this concludes my presentation.
I have one question.
Yes.
So with the breakdown of like where the funds are coming from, is there a cap on how much like state or federal grants, and is there a cap on that percentage that we can receive?
State and federal grants, we're not receiving state and federal grant funding based on a cap. It depends on what that grant is for, determines what the limitations are, and that's per grant. And so our state, the reports that I'm giving total is for multiple grants, and they all have different breakdowns of what the requirements are. Some is based on our low-income population, and some grants are based on our pre-K population. So it just depends on what that grant is written for. If there are no other questions, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, under the superintendent's report, we do have our press policy. So it is only the first read, so in January, the board will go back to the policy and we will be approving for the final read. At this time, we would also like to recognize our Miss Nina King, who will be retiring. We would like, on behalf of the Board of Education, to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Nina King for her dedicated service of 21 years. Her unwavering commitment and exceptional leadership has been greatly contributed to District 159. Her passion, expertise, and guidance will be greatly missed. We wish her a well-deserved retirement filled with joy and fulfillment, and we thank her for her invaluable contribution to District 159. She isn't here today, but on behalf of the Board of Education, we will be sending her a nice token of appreciation. So thank you, Nina King, for all your years of support, all your years with the administration. At this time, I will turn it over to our secretary for our audience to visitors.
We do not have any audience to visitors at this time.
So that concludes our superintendent report. At this time, I'll make a motion to approve our consent agenda. So a motion to approve the open and closed session minutes for the board meeting on November 15, 2023, and the November 8, 2023 special meeting minutes. Motion to approve the accounts payable and payroll as follows. Payroll for November 3rd, 2023, $1,013,376. Payroll for November 17, 2023, $995,483.19. Accounts payable through November
2023, $802,457.33. Approval of certificate of our tax levy, approval of tax levy resolution, approval of the tax levy extension reduction, approval of loss and cost for 2023 levy year, and approval of our tax abatement resolution for 18604 Ridgeland, approval of the tax abatement resolution for Tinley Park Hotel. Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Mrs. Edgecombe.
Second.
And second by Ms. Phillips. Roll call, Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin. Johnson.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. Williams.
Yes.
Is it in? Okay. Motion to approve the Woodgate Mechanical Project. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Edgecombe and second by Ms. Phillips. Roll call, Edgecombe.
Yeah, the mechanic.
Yes.
Franklin. Johnson.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. And Williams.
Yes.
Motion to approve the certified staff employment. Jamie Anderson, hire cadre substitute at Neil Armstrong. Jeremiah Wine, hire long-term substitute physical education teacher at Cedar Prairie. Motion for Cena Perham to resignation of technology STEM coordinator at the District STEM Administration Office. Jessica Needham, resignation music teacher at Colin Powell Middle School. Motion?
Motion. Motion by Ms. Phillips.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Edgecombe. Roll call, Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin. Johnson.
Yes.
Morton. Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. And Williams.
Yes.
Motion to approve Dallas Lee hire assistant superintendent for operations and educational service contingent upon the contract as discussed in closed session. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Phillips.
Second.
Second by Ms. Morton. Roll call. Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin.
Abstain.
Johnson.
Abstain.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. Williams.
Abstain.
Motion to approve the support staff employment termination. Deza Faulkner, Racine School Nurse, Mara Yates. Latanya Taylor, internal transfer, SPED IA, Cedar Prairie. Marilyn Davis, resignation, instructional assistant at Neil Armstrong. Motion?
Motion.
Well, Carla's back, so I can go back to that.
Please.
So we'll go back to, Mr. Dallas Lee, hire assistant superintendent for operations and educational services, contingent upon the contract as discussed in closed session.
Okay, thank you.
Now we were on the support staff employment and termination. Which was Deza Faulkner, Racine School Nurse, Mara Yates, Latanya Taylor, internal transfer, SPED IA, Cedar Prairie, and Marilyn Davis, resignation, instructional assistant at Neil Armstrong. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Edgecombe.
Second.
Second by Ms. Johnson. Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. And Williams.
Yes.
Motion to table Kiara Russell Clay, internal transfer for technology STEM coordinator at District STEM Administration Office. Motion?
Motion by Ms. Edgecombe.
Second.
Second by Ms. Franklin. Roll call, Edgecombe.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Morton.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Scott. And Williams.
Yes.
That concludes our consent agenda.
Our next scheduled meeting will be we are in negotiations, so our next meeting with the support staff will be January 29th, 2024. And this concludes our Board of Education meeting for December 20th, 2023. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a happy holiday. Motion for adjournment.
Motion.